Slowly but surely, I built myself back up to where I'm able, I'm strong, I'm ready. I'm still probably about 12 pounds down. I'm gonna get that right. I'm gonna fill these overalls up like no other. But it has been a tremendous journey, and I'm truly thankful that God is so good. God is so good. You have no idea.
Welcome everybody to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Bamfo, and we got to talk about Coach Prime Deion Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So Deion Sanders had a major announcement today to update the public on his current health. Now, a lot of people thought he was going to announce his resignation as Colorado football head coach due to his health status. That was, however, not the case at all. Instead, along with his medical staff, he disclosed that he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of bladder cancer. Thankfully, after surgery, his doctors considered it cured, so he plans on coaching this upcoming season. It was dynamic. It was tough. It wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't easy. That was a fight, but we made it, Coach Prime stated at his press conference. I always knew I was going to coach again. It was never in my spirit, in my heart, that God wouldn't allow me to coach again, he said. Let me start by saying this first. I'm glad Coach Prime was able to beat bladder cancer and be able to continue to coach Colorado football. His presence, aura, and ability to lead men has turned a Colorado football program that was down in a dumpster to a respectable team that could compete on the national stage. However, I believe this has to be his final year coaching, not only Colorado, but coaching period. Along with his cancer diagnosis, Coach Prime has had to deal with a history of blood clots and had to have 2 toes amputated due to related complications. At his press conference, he announced that due to his bladder conditions, he would have to have a porta potty nearby just in case he can't control his bladder. Now, at this point, what more does Coach Prime have to prove? He was able to get his son, Shedeur Sanders, drafted into the NFL. He coached a Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter. And lastly, like I previously stated, he put Colorado football back on the map. Unfortunately, this year's football team is predicted to finish 10th in its conference, the Big 12. They were able to recruit a 5-star quarterback in Julian, but besides that, the team is average at best. Coach Prime has done it all. Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, great coach, and mentor. This has to be his last season coaching. His body has been through the ringer and back, and it's time to call it quits. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
I'm optimistic on everything. We're definitely going to be fine. I'm not concerned about that. And we could have won that game. It's not like we got our butts kicked. Like we could have won that game. They ran the heck out of the ball. They did that, but we had opportunities. Like I'm pretty sure you guys are harping on the opportunities that we didn't take advantage of. So if we take advantage of those opportunities, I have a whole different mood up here right now. So we got to get that fixed, and we will get that fixed.
Welcome everybody to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Bamfo, and we got to talk about the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So, college football season is upon us, and the Colorado Buffaloes welcomed the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets to Boulder, Colorado. This was the first game in the Deion Sanders era in which his son, Shedeur Sanders, and Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter would not be playing in. Unfortunately, they ended up losing to Georgia Tech 27-20. Georgia Tech cornerback Haynes King ran for a 45-yard touchdown that will ultimately win the game for Georgia Tech. Colorado had an opportunity to tie the game on the final drive, but time ran out even though they had 2 timeouts that were not used. That brings us to Coach Prime Deion Sanders. Clock management was an issue for Coach Prime last year, and it seems like it's going to be a problem this year. I think we got out of bounds a couple of times, so we didn't have time to take them. So that's what transpired. We got out of bounds on both sidelines, and that's what happened. After the first, we got a good play. We caught the ball for 9 yards. We had 1 yard to go. If you get the first down, the clock stops. So it don't make sense to really use your timeout in that sense. Coach Prime says, the only problem with that statement is that they absolutely should have used the timeout on the final drive. After a completion of 9 yards to make it 3rd and 1, a timeout should have been called and 40 seconds would have remained on the clock. Instead, another play was ran and too much time came off of the clock after the quarterback picked up the first down. Even the commentators were saying take a timeout, but it didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying that's the reason why they lost. The defense, they failed to stop the run, and the offense lacked explosive plays. But at some point, we have to ask this question. Is Coach Prime a good football coach? I already explained that he isn't the best when it comes to clock management, but can someone please explain to me what coaching traits Deion Sanders is good at? I mean, is he a good offensive coach? We know that's not the case. Is he good on defense? I'm not sure, but we have to ask these questions because the Colorado football program now has high expectations thanks to Coach Prime. And if he fails to meet those expectations, they may be looking for a new coach in the near future. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
So he understood that whole conversation, and he wanted to talk to Shedeur as well as you want to talk to me. And I put Shedeur on the phone, and Shedeur, I don't want to say how it went, but how in the world can somebody fault him for saying or thinking, why in the world would I go back up Lamar for 10 more years?
For sure.
I've never sat on the bench and said, well, I learned a lot today.
That's my place to answer. You know, that's nothing I can't answer. Not answer, but I know for sure I'm not. I know if you see the quarterback play in the league right now, I know I'm capable of doing better than that.
Welcome everybody to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Banfo, and we got to talk about Deion and Shedeur Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So, Deion and Shedeur Sanders continue to make headlines for the things they say rather than the things that occur on the football field. So let's start with Coach Prime Deion Sanders. Deion made a guest appearance on the Kelsey Brothers podcast called New Heights. On this podcast, he touched on a variety of topics such as the 90s Cowboys, coaching, and being a true sports athlete. But what stood out to me was when he discussed his son, Shedeur Sanders. Now, he talked about how Shedeur made the decision to not be drafted by the Baltimore Ravens and Philadelphia Eagles because he sees himself as a starter and not a backup to Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. Now, this video isn't necessarily about that, but let me touch on that topic for a second. I think it was a mistake for Shedeur to not want to play for the Ravens or Eagles. Those two franchises are known for being world-class organizations that know how to develop players at all positions. Long term, it would have been better for Shedeur to learn under Lamar or Jalen. As a 5th round pick, you aren't drafted to be an immediate starter. So why not develop with a franchise that has a great track record of development? The Cleveland Browns organization has been the laughing stock of the league for decades. So for Shedeur to end up there, hoping to start sooner rather than later, is a miscalculation in my opinion. Now, back to Coach Prime Deion Sanders. On the podcast, he stated, I've never sat on the bench and said, well, I learned a lot today. Coming from him, that makes complete sense. Deion Sanders was a generational athlete who played multiple sports professionally, and at no point in his life did he have to sit on the bench. But generational athletes tend to forget one thing. Everybody can't do the things they do. Athletes like Deion, Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Tiger Woods can't really teach the next athlete anything because they had God-given talent that just couldn't be touched. So, I've always thought Coach Prime projecting himself to the things he would do for Shedeur was a bad strategy. No matter how much confidence Deion Sanders has, he does not have his father's talent and ability. So we all have to recognize that his path is totally different. Now, Shedeur conducted an interview with ESPN Cleveland, and I will give him credit. He answered the question truthfully. I know if you see the quarterback play in the league right now, I know I'm capable of doing better than that, Sanders stated. All players should feel like they are capable to play in the NFL at a high level. That's how they actually got to the NFL. But Shedeur should have known by saying that would cause an uproar in the NFL community. Shedeur is a third-string quarterback who was selected in the 5th round of this year's draft. People in his position barely make the team, let alone play in a game. His time will come soon, and I just hope he can back up his words when he gets that opportunity. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
I think I got more blood clots. Cat's out the bag, all right? I think I got more blood clots, man. It don't make sense. I'm hurting like crazy. I got the doctor's appointment Monday to see what time it is. So that's what's going on. I'm not getting blood to my leg. That's why my leg is throbbing. I'm sorry to get that out, but thank you for noticing.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Bamfo, and we got to talk about Coach Prime Deion Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So, the Colorado Buffaloes lost 35-21 to TCU on Saturday. Colorado jumped out to a 14-0 lead early in the game, but was unable to maintain the lead as starting quarterback Caden Salters threw 3 interceptions. Colorado is now 2-4 on the season and 0-3 in conference play. The first year without star players Deion Sanders and Travis Hunter is starting off bad. It doesn't look like it's going to turn around anytime soon. Now, Coach Prime Deion Sanders addressed the media after the game and talked about what went wrong in the game. Later on in that same press conference, he addressed something that hasn't been discussed since the beginning of the season: his personal health issues. I think I got more blood clots. Cat's out the bag. I think I got more blood clots. It don't make sense. I'm hurting like crazy. I got a doctor's appointment Monday to see what time it is. So that's what's going on, Coach Prime stated. Now, first off, prayers up to Coach Prime and his health. It's been well documented that Deion has been having health issues for the past couple years. So I commend him for continuing to coach the Colorado Buffaloes under not so ideal circumstances. However, it's time to have a conversation about Deion and coaching. Now, Coach Prime has never been an X's and O's type of coach, but more so the motivational type. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but that only goes so far if you don't have the elite players on your team. With a 2-4 start and major health issues that doesn't seem to be going away, now it's time for Coach Prime Deion Sanders to leave Colorado and retire from coaching. The main reason why he coached was so he can get his son, Deion Sanders, to the NFL. And he was actually able to do that. Deion should retire ASAP to take care of his health, because at the end of the day, he has nothing left to prove. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
This is bad. It's probably the worst beating I've ever had, except for when my mama whooped me as a kid. 422 yards rushing, you ain't winning. You're not winning. 300 yards, you're not winning. 250, you're not winning. It's not capable. Total offense, 140 yards, you're not winning. You're not winning. They had 587 yards of total offense. You're not winning. With that, special teams gave up a fake punt as well as a block punt. You're not winning. So all 3 phases, we got our butts kicked.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Bamfo, and we got to talk about Coach Prime Deion Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So I want to start this video by showing love to Coach Prime Deion Sanders for a couple of positive things he was able to accomplish. In Week 7, the Colorado Buffaloes were able to defeat the number 22 ranked Iowa State Cyclones 24-17. It was their first conference win this season and the second win versus a top 25 team since Coach Prime took over the program. It was a solid win for the programs as they were on a 2-game losing streak prior to the win. Starting quarterback Caden Salter threw 2 touchdowns, which included a 70-yard touchdown pass to Omarion Miller that helped secure the win. So salute to Coach Prime on the win and salute to him for conducting a special showcase scrimmage during their bye week to give bench players and walk-ons an opportunity to create film for the transfer portal. Now, we know in this new NIL era of football, half the team is going to transfer. So Coach Prime giving them this opportunity is something I have to commend him for. Now, I'm not saying other programs don't do similar things for their players, but this is the first time I'm hearing about something like that. So shout out Coach Prime for that. So now that I showed love, I have to talk about the bad with Coach Prime and the Colorado football program. So the team got blown out and embarrassed on Sunday, losing 53-7 to the Utah Utes. It's easily Coach Prime Deion Sanders' most embarrassing loss as the head football coach of the Colorado football program. Despite coming off the bye week and having 2 weeks to prepare, Colorado looked awful on offense, defense, and special teams. At halftime, the score was 43-0, with Colorado managing minus 18 yards of total offense. Now, I see a lot of Colorado fans placing blame on the offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur. There's video of starting quarterback looking frustrated and confused after receiving a play call. All season, the offense has been inconsistent, and for that, I blame the quarterback and coordinator. But for some odd reason, I haven't seen any blame placed on the head football coach, Deion Sanders. Now, I've been covering Coach Prime ever since I started this YouTube channel. I've let it be known that I want him to retire as a football coach. Besides his poor health, I just don't think he's a good football coach. He lost his son and Travis Hunter to the NFL, so this was a great opportunity to show his ability to retool his roster and coach some good football. That hasn't happened this year, and the expectations have not been met so far. Coach Prime record at Colorado overall is 15-16. They've never competed to win the conference and haven't even won a bowl game since being there. After this year, the experiment should be over, and Coach Prime should either retire or get fired by the administration. This season, we've already seen Billy Napier, James Franklin, Mike Gundy, Deshaun Foster, and Brian Kelly get fired from their coaching positions. With high expectations, your main priority is winning, and Coach Prime has failed to do that. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.
No one will be available tonight. It's on me. Don't attack the coordinators. Come at me. Don't attack the players. Come at me. This is me. This has nothing to do with none of them. It has everything to do with me. Let's go.
The Colorado Buffaloes not only continue to lose football games, but get absolutely blown out. It's only one person to blame, and I think y'all know who it is. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Banfo, and we got to talk about Coach Prime Deion Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So, on Saturday, the Colorado Buffaloes lost at home 52-17 to the Arizona Wildcats. This is back-to-back weeks in which the defense allowed over 50 points. Once again, offense, defense, and special teams all played like trash. But the one lone bright spot to happen was the 5-star recruit quarterback, Julian. He finally got a chance to play. And he actually played well in limited time by passing for 121 yards and a touchdown. But overall, some tough conversations need to happen for that program. And it all starts with Coach Prime Deion Sanders. Now, if you've been following my channel from the beginning, y'all already know I want Coach Prime to retire. More so for his health issues, and I feel like he has nothing left to prove. He got his son, Shedeur Sanders, to the NFL, and I felt like that was his main goal for even coaching in the first place. Now, by all accounts, it does seem like he's not going to retire or be fired, but there are a couple of things he needs to do ASAP to get the program in the right direction. Now, he's finally going to let Julian Lewis start for the rest of the season, and I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. But all season long, Coach Prime had been playing musical chairs at the quarterback's position. Kaden Salter and Ryan Staub had been going back and forth all season playing quarterback for Colorado. And they always say, if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Now, he should have started Lewis weeks ago, but better late than never, I guess. The next thing Coach Prime can do is fire both offensive and defensive coordinators. Pat Shermer and Robert Livingstone have done a horrendous job. Both sides of the football played soft all season, and the coordinators have not been able to put the players in position to make big plays. On offense, they don't even scheme the opponent's defense. They run their offensive sets regardless of anything, and unless you're a powerhouse like Alabama or Ohio State, you must scheme your opponent. And on defense, they can't even stop the run for anything. Replace the coordinators right now because a change of pace needs to happen. And lastly, now this is a long-term thing, but Coach Prime has to be boots on the ground and start recruiting at the high school level. It's widely known that Deion Sanders refused to do home visits with recruits. Instead, they have to come to him. And in the world of recruiting, that's just not sustainable. You can't build a successful program through the transfer portal. It's nothing wrong with using it, but you can't solely depend on it. All successful college football coaches go to high school games, sit in that recruit's living room, and explain why they should come to their school. That part is never leaving college sports, and Deion can't continue to do it his way, because clearly it's not working. Colorado needs to win the last 3 games to qualify for a bowl game. I don't expect them to run the table, but I hope they can at least show some heart and play competitive football to close out the season. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.
Just my gameplay. I think I settled down a little bit. I'm not going to say I was frantic or frightened or anything like that coming in, but of course it was those natural nerves coming into football and just being able to use my legs and things like that to extend plays and get the offense accelerated. I mean, I did what I had to do, and the O-line did their.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Banfo, and we got to talk about Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and Julian Lewis. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So, on Saturday, the Colorado Buffaloes lost again, this time on the road to West Virginia, 29-22. This loss for Colorado officially eliminates them from playing in a bowl game, as you need at least 6 wins to qualify. By all accounts, this has been a bad season for Coach Prime and the Colorado football program. After losing Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter to the NFL, all eyes were on this program to see how they would respond this season. The biggest question mark to start the season was at the quarterback position. Kaden Salter, the transfer from Liberty, eventually was named starter, but throughout the season, he wasn't that impressive. It finally took until week 12 of the season for Coach Prime to finally start Julian Lewis, the 5-star freshman quarterback from Georgia. In his first career start versus West Virginia, Julian Lewis threw for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no turnovers. Making your first career start on the road as a true freshman is extremely tough, but Juju played poised and showed flashes of greatness. Now, even though the rough season is almost over, Julian Lewis is that light at the end of the tunnel for this football program. He has so much talent and ability that I believe he can make Colorado more competitive come next season. Coach Prime and the administration has to do whatever it takes to keep Juju at Colorado. With NIL, Players move from school to school all the time, so keeping their 5-star recruit should be their main objective. After that, like I said in my previous video on Colorado, Coach Prime has to do a better job at recruiting and also clean house with his coaching staff. Colorado has 2 more games before the season ends, versus Arizona State and on the road versus Kansas State. It's important for Judo to get more game reps this season, but for next year, all the pressure will be on Coach Prime and Julian Lewis to get Colorado football back on track. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Welcome everybody to the Sports Culture, all things sports. It's Jay Banfo, and we got to talk about Coach Prime Deion Sanders. But before we get into that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and thanks for your support. So Super Bowl Sunday is this weekend, and everybody is in California doing media in preparation for the big game. That brings us to Coach Prime Deion Sanders, who spoke on ESPN's First Take with Stephen A. Smith. In this interview, he was asked if there is a possibility that he will be a head coach of an NFL franchise. And in response, he had this to say.
Fair enough. Okay. Let's stay in the NFL. Before, and I know you're happy at Colorado, but before Shoddy went to the Cowboys, your name was kind of in the mix. Is there anything that would get you to jump to the National Football League?
Not whatsoever. What transpired with my son last year, ain't no way in the world. No, I don't have a... Thank you, Lord. When I stop like that...
That's to keep you from saying you don't need to say.
When I stop like that, that don't mean I'm lost for words. That means God said,
That's too wrong.
That means God said, you're a head coach now. You can't do that now. You can't talk like that. You can't say that. I know you're comfortable with your brothers here, but you can't say.
Now, I wish Coach Prime would have fully explained what transpired with his son, Shedeur Sanders. That upset him so much. So in this video, I'm going to try and piece together what Coach Prime could be insinuating. So in last year's NFL draft, Shedeur was projected to be a first-round draft pick and no later than a second round. Shedeur was camera ready and had a decked out draft room with one of the biggest chains I've ever seen. So all indications, if you listen to the draft experts, Shedeur was going to get drafted on day 1. But to everybody's surprise, he didn't get drafted. Teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Giants, and initially the Cleveland Browns all passed on Shedeur. Now, Shedeur and his camp didn't help themselves out in any way. First of all, they didn't participate in the NFL Draft Combine. All players, regardless of position, can have their draft stock rise or fall at the Combine. Also, with that, only a select few teams were even able to interview with Shedeur. You got to look at the NFL Draft Combine like a job interview. And by limiting yourself access to these teams, you can't be surprised when they choose not to draft you. Now, the other reason why Coach Prime could be feeling some type of way about the NFL is that Shedeur actually had to compete to be the starter quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You got to remember, Shedeur has always been coached by his father. From Pee Wee football to high school and to college, Shedeur was always going to be the starting quarterback for his father, Coach Prime Deion Sanders. And with that, when he got to the NFL as a 5th round draft pick, for the first time in his life, he had to compete with another quarterback for the starting job. Now, if you don't know, that's standard operating procedure in the NFL. No late round draft pick is initially given the starting job. Now, if you're the number 1 overall draft pick like Cam Ward, you get that starting position. But that's not Shedeur's path. For him to even see the field, a lot of lucky breaks had to have gone his way. When the season started, he was the 4th string quarterback. But when the season was over, he was able to climb the depth chart and finish the season as the starting quarterback. Now, trades to 2 quarterbacks and the injury to Dylan Gabriel spread up the process, but nevertheless, he got his chance to play football his rookie season as a 5th round draft pick. And he should actually be grateful for the opportunity instead of spiteful. Like I said, all of this is speculation. but in my opinion, those were the reasons why Coach Prime dismisses the NFL. Along with that, we can't forget how Shedeur Sanders fans hated former head coach Kevin Stefanski. Now, in this video, I'm not going to delve too deep into it because I've made countless previous videos on it. But basically, Shedeur Sanders fans felt like he was being sabotaged by Kevin Stefanski. That notion was always ridiculous, but it wouldn't have surprised me if Coach Prime and Shedeur fell into that narrative with their fans. With a new head coach and a new clean opportunity now, I really don't want to hear any more excuses. Let's see if he can improve on his 7-touchdown, 10-interception season and prove that he could be a starting NFL quarterback for years to come. Now, with that being said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.